Okay, guys, I want to start off with something that's kind of personal, uh, but also a little bit political. So take our chances. Here we go. Tomorrow, Wednesday, February 28th at 9:30 in the morning, it's Advocacy Day to protect IVF. We will be in Tennessee playing for the ability to still be in this race for a conference championship. So we're not going to be there, but I'll tell you why we would have been there. My son Stephen and my daughter-in-law Brittany um, courageously, in many ways, have decided to make it known publicly that they've been involved with this in vitro fertilization for a couple of years, trying to have children, trying to start a family. Um, it's been a very private matter for all of our friends and family. Um, it's had its challenges, um, but they've really worked their way through, and um, they're very, very close to being able to for Brittany to get pregnant. Um, and it's been a difficult process. Um, but because of what's gone on with the Alabama Supreme Court, um, and what may be in some ways almost a reckless decision, by failing to understand that IVF process, it's about people trying to start families and create life, not 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 end it. Um, I am a pro-life and pro-family and pro-child, and I am a conservative Alabamian, and I'd like to use my platform to call on all three branches of our state government and and encourage them to make Alabama the most pro-family, pro-child state in the nation, removing the obstacles that are now facing these couples that are going through the IVF process. Um, Government is supposed to help us and our families, not prevent my son and his wife from having their first child or my grandchild. Um, so I just am calling on people that are listening to this or hearing this. Call your state legislature, call your congressman or woman, and tell them that you support, if you support, this IVF. Um, and if you can, and you do, um, show up tomorrow, Wednesday, 9:30 on the steps of the Capitol, and help your voices be heard. I don't think this is what the intent of the law was, so it's got to be fixed. And if it doesn't, things take time in legislature, take time in government, take time in the courts, and you've got in the state of Alabama alone hundreds of families that are on hold. And sometimes when it comes to this stuff, timing is everything, and so they're going to be denied the timing to be able to create life, not take it. It's almost March, and we're still playing for championships. There just aren't many teams in the country that can say that, particularly in a league this good. There are 6 teams right now in our league that are within a game or two of first place. And so every game now, home or on the road, are precious. Tennessee, I think, I've been saying all along, I think they're the best team in the league. And I haven't played them yet. So we're fixing to find out. Their experience, they're so well coached. They've got great guard play. They're dangerous from 3. They got guys that can really protect the rim. And they're one of the best defensive teams in the country. I think we went up there last year and it was a 46-43 rock fight. Our defense has been good. Um, it'll have to be at its very best, and it'd be great if we could keep making shots, which is what it takes at the end of the year to get hot and win.
Yeah, when it comes to somebody like Connect, I mean, where do you sort of start with that defensive game plan for him? And I guess what have you kind of seen from him this season?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's going to get his. You just don't want him to get off. Understanding their personnel and their strengths and their weaknesses. People have got him as high as top 5 in a draft board for next year, right? Um, what a great story he is. So he could, can do it all, both ends of the floor. Um, Presents a real matchup problem because he's one of the biggest guards our guards will face, and he's one of the most skilled forwards our forwards will face. But I do think one of the keys to playing Tennessee is they've got so many weapons, like anybody and everybody that play. They got so many dimensions. They got 3 great defensive guards, 3 or 4 great defensive guards, and some of the guards coming off the bench are great defensive guards. They got 5 or 6 great 3-point shooters. So it's not just taking away Ziegler or Vescovi or Josiah James or about 6 guys you got to worry about. So they're good in transition. They play fast. So our guys will have to know all their personnel and be able to guard accordingly.
Bruce, I was wondering if you had an update you could share on Jalen and kind of his recovery.
Yep, Jalen will travel. And while he was not available for Georgia, it's possible he could play tomorrow. We'll see how he does today. He moved around a lot. He moved around a lot yesterday, more than we thought he would, and so that may just be a game time decision.
I guess going back to Aiden on Saturday, other than his, he made obviously the 5 threes, which you talked about his confidence, but in terms of how he's been running the offense and how he did in that game, and I guess moving forward, what did you kind of see with him on the floor and how they did?
I thought Aiden did great, and I thought that he showed how tough he is. Every shot he took against Georgia, I thought he was going to make. But every shot he took against Kentucky, I thought he was going to make too, and games before. And to his credit, he hasn't shied away from the moment, and he shouldn't shy away from the moment. He's a great player, one of our hardest workers, and he's, one of the youngest players in college basketball at the Power 5 level that is able to have the kind of impact that he is able to have on our team. He's worked really hard to improve in the areas of his defense and his rebounding and the physicality of the game. And look, that's going to be challenged at Tennessee as much as anything. These older, more experienced guards are going to be all up in him, and they'll impact his ball screen. And so I guarantee you, Tennessee will be paying close attention to the Georgia film and make his looks difficult. But I'm really proud of him for fighting through it. And of course, he knows his teammates and his coaches never stop believing in him.
Bruce, obviously with Chad moving into the starting lineup against Georgia, Jalen's out. Your bench now looks different, but your starting lineup with Chad in there looked pretty good. How do you sort of, I guess, look at it or weigh maybe the bench doesn't produce 35 points a game, but you might get off to better starts?
Yeah, no, that's it. That's it for sure. That Chad Baker's clearly one of our top 3 players, and he was the best player on the floor against Georgia. But he's been that before at Arkansas, and because he's able to do so much. He can shoot it. He can make tough twos. You can put him in ball screens. He can play make for himself, or he can play make for others. He's a smart defender. He plays hard. He's a great locker room glue guy. While he's incredibly passionate, he's focused on winning only. And so he's I think Chad Baker, if you were to write a list nationally of the best players in college basketball that you'd never heard of before, the Connect kid, I'm pronouncing his name correctly, he's at the top of everybody's list. But Chad Baker Mazar is on the list. And so, yes, I felt like we needed to, change some things up, not just insert Chaney Johnson into the starting lineup because we were without Jalen Williams, but I felt there were some other things that we needed to do with our roster to just see if we could get to be playing a little better.
Bruce, against Georgia, you guys held them. They were just 3 of 14 from deep, and that's kind of been a big part of their game this year. And y'all have had a bunch of games this year when y'all have been able to really affect three-point shooting. Just what do you think's been the key to that for y'all on that end of the floor? Slowing down teams that like to shoot the three and hit threes at a high rate.
Well, when part of the success against Georgia was we shot such an incredible field goal percentage, 62% on the road, that Georgia didn't get their traditional transition. Like, Tennessee is a great defensive team. They get offense from their defense. Block shots, steals, turnovers, and then they come down and shoot open threes because they spread it, they drive to audition. So transition, number one. And we didn't give a lot of transition because we played so well offensively, whereas Tennessee is one of the best defensive teams in the country. They're going to get that. And then, I've always been a guy that knew that the three-point shot was worth one more point than a two-point shot. Not everybody's got that figured out. I figured that out a long time ago. And so we're going to do everything we can to try to take, the best play of the game are inside threes and outside threes, right, offensively.
I was going to ask you about this rivalry, or I guess this series as of late. You guys have won 7 of 9. The 2 losses are, I think, 6 total, 6 combined points. The 2 losses. What do you think it is about your system versus maybe what Rick Barnes does that allows you to be pretty competitive?
Yeah, no, it's these games have mattered. As you guys know, history matters to me, and trying to make history and trying to win a conference championship. I think we need to win at Tennessee to win it, or to be in a position to win it. Right? Lose, you're 2 games back. The league is tough, but you're still 2 games back with 3 to go, and you obviously need help. So we've been in control of our own destiny all season long, and the only way we remain in control is if we can pull off the upset. Coach Barnes is a Hall of Fame coach, and he continues to be as good as he always was, or maybe better. He was, Rick Barnes was one of the best young coaches in college basketball, 30 years ago. He was. And now he's just one of the best coaches in college basketball, period.
Which you talked about before the Georgia game, going and actually hitting shots away from home, especially from deep. You guys did that obviously at a really high level as Georgia. Could you tell that the team gained confidence from that, and just how important is that kind of moving forward, because you're going to be playing a lot of games on the road and away from home?
Look, it's close to March. So what you do, you start telling March stories. And before the Georgia game, we told the greatest March story that Auburn basketball has ever had was our 2019 Final Four run. What happened to that team? We always played hard, always played pretty good defense. Not quite as good as this team's played, but pretty good. But we started to get hot from 3 and won 4 of our last regular season games, won the 3 games in the SEC tournament. Did we win 3 or 4? I don't know, we probably won 4. And then we won 4 games in the NCAA tournament to sort of go win 12 games. And if you look at the 3-point shooting, it's a big factor. So that's what has to happen.